Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Care Sandwich. I'm Margarita Eberline, your host, and today's special guest comes to us from the Bay Area, San Francisco, one of my old stomping grounds. And I can't wait for you to meet attorney Sam Geller, founder of Geller Law. He'll be joining us shortly, but first, watch this video.
Welcome to Care Sandwich, the podcast where we dive into the success journeys of law firm owners across the country. I'm Margarita Eberline, your host and the founder of Marketing Boss, a fractional chief marketing officer firm for law firms. On this show, we'll explore the challenges, strategies, and victories that have shaped law firms and how they wrap every interaction with care. Because we believe that caring isn't just a value, it's a strategy for success. So grab your favorite sandwich, sit back, and let's dig into a conversation filled with insight, inspiration, and of course, a lot of care.
Welcome, Sam Geller to the stage. So nice to have you all the way from San Francisco. And I feel like I've been having a series of crim attorneys because your law firm also specializes in crim. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Sam, tell us about yourself, about your firm. How'd you get started? Why do you do what you do?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on the show today. I appreciate being here. It's a pretty simple question for me, actually. I graduated law school during a time when it was a little difficult to find a job. But after I had graduated, I moved to New York, came back to California. And after just looking for several positions, I volunteered at a public defender's office. And within like my first 2 weeks, I just fell in love with the kind of work that I was doing. And as things progressed and I got a little bit more experience in the process, one day I just decided, hey, you know what? I can do this. I can have some work-life balance, and decided to open up my own firm. That included telling all my friends is what I do now, pretending like I know what I'm doing in the beginning, getting an office, learning how to market, figuring things out on the fly. And here we are, 12, 13 years later, still doing it and loving it.
So I love that. Super simple. And I wonder if you could share what sort of practice areas you focus on, what are your favorites, and how do you get the word out now?
So in the beginning, when you're kind of gathering some experience about the kind of work that I do, it's a lot of DUIs, minor possessions of drugs and stuff like that. And as things progress in your life, you start wanting a little bit more of a challenge. So, as I started advertising, I started meeting mentors, started talking to people who would invite me to be a part of their case, ask me to co-counsel. I had the opportunity at that point to do some pretty high profile cases some years ago. And that kind of propelled me into a more serious type of version of what I do, because the stakes were much higher now then. And as things progressed and I got more comfortable, I wanted more and more of these kinds of cases. So instead of advertising that I do DUIs or I do domestic violence, I started advertising that I do more serious offenses. And as things progressed, I got calls. Some people hired me, some people didn't. Some people had faith in me, and I just developed experience. And now it's a lot of it is word of mouth. A lot of it is obviously Google and Yelp, because that's the world that we live in. I do a lot of social media so that I can be top of mind. And that's kind of how I get the word out now. But a lot of it now is more or less referrals.
So curious, when you say that the high profile cases are what sort of shifted things for you, was it because they were like on the news, or it created buzz, or did you get like backlinks or things like that online? Like, walk us through how that worked.
So at first it was more about, like, you kind of feel alive when you're doing these things, when you are all of a sudden going to court and there's news cameras all around you. I found a sense of a level of importance there, that I'm doing something important in our community as well. And I was representing at the time a person who I thought was innocent. And I was like, I want everyone to know that this person's innocent, despite the fact that he's charged. It did definitely create a buzz for me. I was able to use, cartoons of myself that were drawn in court. I was able to use videos of myself just to kind of put that on my website. Obviously, at the time, I would put them on my social media. And, all of a sudden you start garnering some level of, like, people know you. There's a level of importance to what you do. And then when people find you on the internet and they see that you've been on the news, you have a little bit more of credibility.
I love that. And for law firm owners that are listening, because I have this conversation often, one thing is to position yourself to get these cases. What you described is that you had the ability and the willingness to actually milk those opportunities by creating marketing out of those opportunities. Because I think in our minds, we think, oh, if I could just get on one of these high profile cases, I'll be on the news and everybody will see me, and then that's it. Right?
Yeah,
But
that's
you
not.
took it a step further. Yeah,
Yeah.
the formula that I heard was you leveraged marketing assets, visuals, everything that you could on social media and your website, I take it.
Of course, yeah. I always felt like the news cycle is like 3 days long, right? No matter what
Yeah.
happens to who, it's about 3 days, 5 days maybe. And then, once people start Googling information, no one's Googling for who's the attorney that represented this person. So,
Yeah.
in our industry, we don't actively market to people who need our services. Like when things happen, they need us, and it's important to be top of mind.
Yeah, and interesting. I don't know if you've ever tried this, but one thing that I've done as a CMO is experimented with news campaigns. So imagine this. Breaking news happens, let's say in your field of law. Imagine that there's like a big murder or something, right, in your area. You can actually, as an attorney, run targeted ads to people searching for information about that bit of news.
Mhm.
And that's how you can get in front of maybe family members that might want to retain you. So it's kind of like a fun way to pursue those hot newsworthy cases. Just throwing that out there since we're
Yeah, no,
on
for
the
sure.
topic. Yeah. So Sam, walk us through, what's your social media like and where can people find you?
So I guess I'm all over the place. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Recently, I decided to post some more or less just parody satire videos.
Okay.
And in some weird way, I went like mega viral to the point where like Facebook, TikTok, or inquired with me and said, "Hey, can you continue to do this and we'll pay you?" And then I've been trying to find the proper way to now leverage that, because now I have this following, right, in a way that I can continue to present in combination with my satire, but also find a way to use satire for what I do to bring some light to these kinds of topics, because I deal with a lot of heavy things. And if you can bring, even in the darkest of times for some people, a smile to their face, it's very important. But I'm everywhere, and I make an effort, because now I feel like, being an attorney at times is embarrassing to be dancing on camera, but you got to do it nowadays.
You have the moves. Good. God bless you. Listen, me, I'm a marketer. I can get away with stuff like that. I don't have the moves. I really don't.
No, it's stuff I got to do now.
So let's unpack this. I'm going to ask you a question that I get asked, and I'm going to let you answer it, because I'm imagining we're going to be aligned with our answers. Does going viral equal more cases for you, like automatically?
Yes. I don't want to say automatically, but going viral for me always equals more presence amongst on people's like mindsets, right? And then that way, like, no matter how you slice it, the fact that somebody calls you and says, "Oh, yesterday I got arrested for a DUI," you're like, "Hey, I saw this guy on TikTok." Like, you'd be surprised how many messages I get on TikTok specifically people asking me for help.
I love it. So going viral creates the awareness so that when they need you, you're top of mind and you get more. Do you also run ads on social, or is it just all organic content?
I do some ads here and there, because of how heavy I'm invested in like Yelp and Google. I primarily like spend money on those types of ads, mainly because after we did the numbers, it makes more sense, and there's a more ROI on that. But I did do that in the past, and I do it sometimes. Like during the holidays, I'll just push myself on social media because it's important.
That's smart, and that's actually true for a lot of practice areas all over the country. It doesn't matter what market, where the Google ads, the search engine ads are the high intent. Those are the people that have a problem, need you to solve it. So that's where it makes the most sense. I find that with Meta, you could potentially get a lot more leads for a lot less, but they won't convert as well. They're not, usually like undecided, or like won't respond to the phone if you call them. So it's a little tricky. So I think that's definitely a smart play. Now, walk us through, what is like a story that you like to tell your clients to help them understand how you're going to take good care of them?
My I guess, let me rephrase. in speaking with my clients and sometimes in teaching people that I work with, like they observe what I do and they're kind of shadowing me. One of the main important things that I've learned in my practice is that it's important to have genuine empathy for people. And, I tell them the story sometimes of what happened to others without mentioning names. I assure them of what I can do for them. I assure them of the experiences. But as far as stories go, I feel like it's almost important to say that I tell them what their life will be like in the worst case scenario to make them realize that life's not over because something happened.
Yeah.
Right. And I kind of, the story I tell them is like their future in light of this situation so that they understand that there's light and then there's light at the end of the tunnel for this, right? Because most people that I represent are people just like you and I who made a mistake. I don't have a lot of cases who are like career criminals and stuff like that, where
Yeah.
it's a very different discussion. But I think the story I tell is just more of like a future for them that it's going to be okay.
Yeah. I love what you just said. And like, I know you haven't read my book, but you might as well have. Shameless plug.
Okay.
So in my book, Connect Convert, we talk about KPIs that will make you more likely to sign up a case. And you mentioned 3 of them. One of them is personalization. So you're personalizing your conversation with the person by sharing a similar relatable like situation so that you can build trust. The other one is visualization. So them visualizing what it would be like to work with you, and by default visualizing, ooh, what if I don't, right? You don't even have to tell them what if you don't. You helping them visualize the positive outcome. And that's also very aligned with story branding. And then the other thing is empathy. I think most people miss the basic human need to just feel like somebody cares. In Connect Convert, we always talk about how people, and we didn't come up with this quote somewhere. I'm sure some smart philosopher from Greece came up with it, but people care more about that you care, or people want to know that you care before they care about what you know. And we audit so many sales and intake calls here at Marketing Boss, and I lost track of the times where a simple, just empathetic statement like, I'm so sorry this happened to you, or, hey, my name's Margarita, I'm going to do everything I can to help you. Little statements like that are authentic and genuine can go a long way to building trust, so that by the time you say to the person, here's the agreement, or you move them to the next step, their mind is prepared to say yes. And many times we get to that part and there's all these objections where it's like, if we would have just done the work earlier in the conversation. And I find attorneys like you do this stuff intuitively. Like all I had to do to write this was follow attorneys around for 10 years, right? How do you, now my question, and this is going to be good advice for law firm owners listening, how do you as a law firm owner put your DNA, what you just described, your genuine care with your experience of care in these conversations, with your potential clients and your clients, into your team? How do you replicate that?
Well, I think it starts off with one, having the right person be a part of your team, because I've gone through several people who nothing bad about them. They just didn't have the same type of perspective, alignment and vision that I do about certain things. And then once I ended up having people who work here that do align with my vision, it's a lot of times in the beginning, instead of teaching them and telling them to read something or giving them a script, I'm like, just listen to me. Just hear me speak and like pick up on things that I'm saying that are not about the law, because I don't need you to know the law. I need you to make this person feel like we'll take care of them. So our intake calls at my office are not focused on a lot of the specific details at times, but I try to, like, obviously that's important, right? But I always teach people like, hey, I want you to tell people that we care, and I want you to tell them how we're going to help. And like, it's important to let them know that they're going to be okay. Even if this is your first day on the job, on your first intake, it's important for you to find a way to say it and mean it, even if you don't know what the hell you're talking about, right? Because that's what people want to know, they're going to be okay, right?
Yeah.
I used to always answer the call. I'm like, hi, thanks for calling, or I would call somebody back and I would ask them, how are you doing? And they were like, well, not good. I learned to not say that, because obviously they're not calling me because things are great. They're calling me things are
like, I've had better days, sir. I'm in jail, right?
So I start off with like, hey, sorry about what happened to you. Do you have some time to talk about it? Then they know that right away, I'm sorry about what happened. I'm empathetic to their situation, versus, hey, good afternoon, good morning. Like, there's nothing good about this morning.
Yeah. Wow. You know what's different about you than other attorneys is, yes, you do this intuitively, but you have a really good way about explaining it. Like, I honestly feel like I'm at my own Connect Convert workshop hearing one of our trainers teach.
I
You're
appreciate
really good at explaining this. I don't
it.
know if you knew that. Like, that's a really good competitive advantage. Like, a lot of attorneys do this intuitively, but they get frustrated and don't even know what they're doing
Yeah.
enough to like or don't appreciate enough what they're doing enough to explain it to their team. So then they hire us to do
Yeah.
it for them. But
Yeah. I love mentorship so much. Like when I have staff or I have someone a little bit younger learning, I just love mentoring and just giving people advice on things that I've done that has helped me. Like even other attorneys who start their own practice that reach out to me, I'm always happy to help. But with my own staff, I'm just like, look, I need you to be more aligned with how I speak and how I talk and how I feel about cases, because I want us to care about our cases.
so would you say that there's somebody that inspired you to be this way, or maybe you had a mentor or somebody in your family just gave you that?
I don't know if I ever modeled myself based on someone that I've met in my field. There are definitely
Yeah.
legal practices in the way that I do things in court that I have mentors that I model myself with,
Mhm.
but I've never really had a person who guided me about how to start a practice, how to run a practice, how to generate leads. Like honestly, I remember a day when I was like, if I can just make 5K this month, I'll be great. If I can just get 2 calls this month, I'll be happy. And
Wow.
I never really had someone like, throwing cases my way here and there. Maybe I'm not saying never, but it wasn't a thing for me where like I modeled myself against anyone.
And now you have this whole engine.
Now I have an engine. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I feel like it could be better, but again, I'm happy where I am. I'm always
Yeah.
looking towards growth and growing what I do have, making it bigger, changing like the hat that I wear at my job, where from being an attorney to being a manager, to being an owner, an entrepreneur, whatever the case may be, and like it's all like different hats I got to wear.
Yeah. Welcome to the life of an
Yeah,
entrepreneur,
right.
right? And sometimes we're the trash person and the cleaning
Yeah,
person.
exactly. It happens. It happens.
Yeah, no, but we do it with so much love. I was talking to a teammate of mine today, and I don't know how it came up. Like, I was like, man, I've been up since 4 a.m, and like I was saying it with like a smile on my face because like I woke up with an exciting idea that I wanted to work on. And
Yeah.
he's like, "What is wrong with you?" But anyway, this has been great. I have one more question, and then I want you to tell everybody how they can get a hold of you if their loved one needs an awesome attorney who cares, or if they're an attorney and want to refer you some cases. What is your favorite sandwich? And then let us know how we can get a hold of you.
Okay. So I kind of thought I should check my DoorDash orders because I order DoorDash a lot. Plug in for DoorDash
Oh,
unnecessarily.
you looked at the data. Oh, you're a CMO dream come true.
No. I know. For me, it's usually like a turkey sandwich or a hot pastrami sandwich. Hot pastrami being my favorite, but it's not. It doesn't correlate as well when it's delivered. So,
Okay.
but favorite is definitely a hot pastrami sandwich. As far as just getting a hold of me, listen, I'm on social at the Real Sam Geller on all different platforms. My website, I'm sure, will be shown here at gellerlaw.sf.com. You can Google Sam Geller in San Francisco. If your loved one needs to speak to someone, oftentimes I provide people my direct cell phone. They reach me directly, especially in a time of need. I do a very good job at being available, especially during like the peak of the stress moments of when something's happening.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I hope that you can continue to do that for a long time, but I will encourage you, you have to have work-life balance.
Yeah.
But it's nice that you have a good habit of cloning yourself, and I'm sure your team is also really good about being there for people too. So I bet you're not doing it all alone at this point. So
No, not anymore.
that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me on today's show. I am looking forward to continuing the conversation with you offline. And for those of you that are watching, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Care Sandwich. Remember, the way we care for our clients, our teams, and ourselves can make all the difference in our success. Until next time, keep caring, keep growing, and I'll see you on the next episode of Care Sandwich.